Today's episode is brought to you by Modern Grower. Modern Grower is your source for time and labor-saving farm tools, such as the PaperPot Transplanter, Quick Click Seeder, and the Jang Direct Seeder. Turn laborsome tasks into free time with tools by Modern Grower.
I'm curious about your kind of building this relationship, working with this other grower. You're saying number 34 on their organic certification. What was that? What was that process like? Was it more just like, hey, can you be available if I have questions? Is it like, let me walk you through it? Is it, hey, come work for us a couple of days and see, like, what was that sort of working relationship like when you were making the choice to actually like become a market gardener?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And to be honest, we deal with quite a few different organic growers. So I suppose what might be a little bit different here to the States would be that it would be an expectation among customers that you would have a good range of produce year round. So
Mm.
we can't, if we lose our customers in the winter, it's very difficult to regain them again in the summer. So, when I'm following different podcasts from the States and stuff, and I see, that, markets stop at Thanksgiving and don't start again maybe till April. For us, that we just couldn't do that. Like, we'd have to keep going. If people go back to the supermarkets, they'll stay there. So we need to keep them with us. So at the minute, we deal with three different organic growers that are much bigger than us. So we deal with Dermot Carey, a really good grower in Athy, again, really experienced, would have been very early on in organics as well. Cullen's Organic up in Kildare as well are brilliant, much larger scale, doing a lot of kind of potatoes, cabbage, stuff like that. And then Dominic and Hilda in Castle Ruddery. And then we would do some organic imports as well. So again, most kind of market gardeners and stuff in Ireland will be bringing in organic imports mostly from the Netherlands, and some from Spain and Italy and France as well, just to extend our seasons, because like our levels just drop so much in the winter that growth pretty much stops for us. I do have the date written down somewhere. It's like, late 24th of October is our last 10-hour day.
Wow.
So that means, our growth is pretty much stopping at that stage. We will take greens, we'll take salad greens through, but like, for context, I'm picking 3 kilos of salad greens a week,
Mm-hmm.
and that's out of a tunnel and a half. And our tunnels are 18 and a half foot wide by 72 foot long. So I have a tunnel and a half full of salad greens, and I'm picking 3 kilos a week out of that.
Wow.
So it's that about 6 pounds.
Yeah.
So that's how slow the growth is.
Mm-hmm.
So and then, because the organic scene in Ireland is still so small, like there's still, in the grand scheme of things, there's very little organics. Certainly market gardening in Ireland, everybody is just amazing. Like, with sharing knowledge, there's no such thing as competition here. There's room for everyone. So, I would make sure when I'm going to collect off Dominic and Hilda, I always have a question ready.
Yeah.
There'll always be something that I'll ask. And there's been plenty of times I've rang or sent a text message being like, what's this? Or, stuff like that. Like, and the same, like, if I go to Dermot or Nick, I'd always be asking questions. Like, I think it's really important, and they're just so generous with their knowledge. Because I think, organics kind of, it started out kind of rebellious. It was like a rebellion against something.
Mm-hmm.
And, and like, anybody that's rebelling wants to bring people with them. They want
Absolutely,
people on board. So yeah, they're just, I've just found I couldn't say a bad word about anybody. Like, everybody has been so generous. Because as I said, like, I've no experience in this. When I started, I had tried to start growing a small bit of stuff in a house that we rented, and the dog got in and dug it up 3 times, and I just gave up. But that was the height of my experience with growing anything. So, having and following like podcasts like yours, and and stuff on YouTube, and that is great, but it generally tends to be away from an Irish context, and our context is, to me, is quite different from anything else that's there. So there is a couple of really good authors based in Ireland. Klaus Leitenberger, you probably haven't come across him. He's amazing with his dates and stuff like that. But other than that, it's very difficult to get stuff that's kind of geared towards us. Charles Dowding in the UK. Obviously, his videos kind of make sense, but even still, we'd be adapting for our climate. He would be warmer than here. quite a bit warmer than here. So we'd have to be adapting his dates and stuff like that as well. So it was really important to be able to get the really local knowledge, and you'd say to them different things that you'd hear and they'd nearly start laughing, be like, oh yeah, try it.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
try
absolutely.
that if you want to try it, but
Well, and I had a really similar experience, you know, having the pleasure of being able to work with somebody for, 3 years full time. I came in, with like a head full of YouTube knowledge, a head full of book knowledge and forums and, everything you can imagine, and thinking like, I know what I'm talking about. Then you ask a question like, hey, have you thought about growing this? And it's like, yeah, we tried growing that 10 years ago and it didn't work. So we don't even mess with it. Or
yeah,
it's like, oh, we
yeah,
can't sell enough of it. And so you pretty quickly realize that, your particular context, whether it's geographically or market wise or whatever it may be, it can be vastly different than someone who's 2 3 4 hours away. And
yeah,
I mean that really is the importance of being able to have kind of farm mentors, people who are there to sort of be a sounding board, run ideas by them, and just be like a real well that you can draw from of wisdom and knowledge and experience. And from my experience, most people, even if they have 4 or 5 years on you, good God, I can't imagine how much more knowledge I'll have in 4 years, like it's miles apart from where I'm at now. And in my experience at the market doing the podcast or whatever, most people seem to be really open and if not fully eager to share whatever information they can. I'm constantly like pestering the other growers like, "Hey, this is our first time really selling cabbage. Like, what are you charging per pound?" And
yeah,
sometimes I'm like, oof, I was, expecting a little bit higher price per pound, but I realized like realistically, it's what you got to charge. Or sometimes it's like, oh man, I priced myself way out of this. I need to bring that price up so I can actually make this profitable. Or it's like, hey, a chef is asking for squash blossoms. I've never sold them before. I want to sound like I know what I'm doing. Can you give me an
yeah,
idea? And they're like, well, typically most guys are charging $1 per blossom, but we ask two because we know how much work it is. And so I think sometimes there can be a hesitancy of, asking too many stupid questions because like, I don't want to bother them. I don't want to look inexperienced. Like, well, the reality of it is like you are inexperienced. So quit trying to pretend like you have it all together. Ask the stupid questions. And most growers with any sort of experience, if they're a good, decent person, they're more than willing to answer those questions. Because, for the most part, I don't feel like there's this constant churn. There's not constantly new blood coming in and old and, sort of like the old guard leaving out. It usually, at least from conversations I've had and what I've witnessed in my short amount of time in this, it's like you have these waves where you have, whether it's something like the pandemic or it's something like an economic stress or, some new policy, there's always sort of these catalysts that sort of get people to open up to the idea of like it's time, like we need to do this. Yeah, we need to rebel against the system, or we need to take back power into our own hands of where our food is coming from. And so because of that, you always have these seasons of kind of new people coming in, and they kind of become the established growers, and then you have your veterans, and then you'll have a period where there's like really no new blood, and then suddenly there's like a new crop of growers coming in, and at least in my experience, people are super excited about that. The constant thing that we got in our market was like, we're so glad you're here. We need more new growers, and not just like we need more farmers because we need, more people growing food, but it's like we need young blood. Like we need more new people in here. We need to continue this going on because, the guy that's been doing it for 30 years, like he's not going to be doing that forever. At some point, he's going to have to end. And more than likely, that's not going to be a family business that gets passed down, unfortunately. And so I think there's also this excitement from those veterans in the industry to see the next generation coming up, not just age generation, but just the next crop of growers coming in to sort of take their place. And I think they care so much about this industry. They care so much about the culture that is sort of small scale organic, that they want to do whatever they can to help and see you succeed because, a rising tide raises all ships.
Hello, growers. Want to boost your sales, reach new customers, and streamline your sales process, all from your home office? Ready Farmer One, my book, is your ultimate guide to making it happen. Imagine increasing your farm's revenue without ever spending a Saturday. at the farmer's market. The book will show you how to create, design, and market an online farm store. Learn from real farmers sharing real stories about how they move their stores online, freeing up their weekends and increasing their sales. Get my book, Ready Farmer 1, on Amazon and transform your farm business today.